The purpose of this particular one is to get you familiarized with the basic actions, roles of a fire team member, and the sorry, and the way we do things around UO, basically. We're gonna go over quickly the code of conduct around here. Actually, no, we're not. We're gonna go over the structure of this course. Right, we're gonna start off with an introduction, which is what we're going through right now, and then once we fire team and squad level movements and not movements, roles. Then we're gonna move on to movements and formations, fire and movements, and actions and conduct. This course should take no longer than an hour and a half to an hour and 45 minutes. Understand that when you're undertaking on a UOTC course, we expect these very two basic rules. Do not intentionally disrupt the course. If you start finding yourself getting bored, just drop off the server. Don't try and ruin anyone else's experience. And you're always expected to ask questions. If you have any questions, you can ask towards the end of the section of each section, or if it's incredibly relevant or something you feel is incredibly important, you can ask then and there. I will quite often ask if you have questions. Now we've got the code of, the values and conduct and behaviour. Around UO, you don't have to go through an application to start playing with us. It's a open community, but we do expect very not overly strict. Some of the communities we have around here are very strict. They don't allow you to speak out of turn, stuff like that. Around here, we are very open to your opinions and everything along them lines, but we do expect some values, personal values, and you to respect the rules. Everyone here should have read the rules before they had before they even got the server password. But the core values we have here is maturity. We expect you to be very mature. Hold on one second. I'm just gonna let... Right, so... Apologies for that, the girlfriend is not in a good mood today. Friendship. Friendship is our #1 core aspect around this community. We're all friends with each other, we all aim to be friends with each other. We expect you to have fun. We don't want you to play around here if you're not going to enjoy yourself. If you're not enjoying yourself, there's no point in playing here. That's what we're here for. We enjoy this kind of gameplay because we're sick freaks like that, and we want to enjoy ourselves. We expect a standard of professionalism, particularly within communication, our behavior and actions along the server. We don't expect you to run off Rambo, run across, trying to do something on your own because you think it would be quite fun. That's unprofessional. We expect you to have respect, particularly for the chain of command. Your squad leader, your fire team leader, we expect you to have respect for them guys, as well as the regulars and GMs within the server. Them guys are there to keep the gameplay moving along, to keep the gameplay a fun, safe environment for you guys. Cooperation, that is a massive thing within here. We want to work together. It ties in with teamwork. We want to work together. We want to be doing everything with each other. The missions we play here, you can't win by just wanting to do your own thing. Everything we do around here is cooperation. It's all team based. And a courtesy. We expect you to have courtesy for your fellow friends, the fellow people on the server. If someone's unsure about something and they ask a question about it, we don't want them to have a particular...
It says the server's currently locked. Did I do something wrong? Trying to fix it.
Zumorc, did you lock the server?
No.
I didn't lock it. Hold on.
Did you press the lock button earlier?
1 second, car steam.
Who's unlocking it?
Oh, I assume you were.
It was exclamation point LCK, right? Zumorc?
For unlocking is a different domain. To unlock, you have to do ULCK. From Lima Charlie.
Right, try and join now.
Joining.
Hey, is there a way to remove the radical on camera script?
Let's go a second to join. I'll let people know that the course is going on. If them guys can't make it, they're gonna have to go to the next lesson.
It says it's still locked.
No.
And it's turning 1. Yeah.
We see you trying to
Have you
join.
clicked the lock button? Haribo.
Negative, it was unlocked when I took us in. Right now, I just run it in the debug console.
Shouldn't make any difference, but it is.
B menu if it says lock there.
I don't have that command at all.
Here, this.
Via Archon, just keep going. If not, then it's
Hey, is anyone aware when one is in camera script? Is there a way to remove that radical?
It's
Yes,
correct
press
as
L.
L. Okay, thanks.
Why do you?
There's also a help.
Oh crap, did right, the password to the channel so everyone knows if you get kicked out by accident, the password is familial lowercase. Right. And apologies for the interruption. Yeah. I believe we moved on to courtesy. I'll just quickly run over that time, double know I have. Yeah, we expect you to be courteous within other players. If they have a question and something like that, we don't want you to take the mick out of them for not knowing something. Just remember to be courteous of other players, because one day it might be you one day it might be you that's unsure about something.
Trying to join again.
On the server, we run things a kind of particular way. First of all, we go through the mission selection, where the admin will take you to the mission screen. From there, you can type your suggestion of a mission in chat. It will be group chat. Do not spam the chat so the admin can specifically see who's actually making suggestions, and don't make random suggestions of missions that aren't actually on the server. From there, once the admin on the server has picked the mission, they will take you through to a slotting screen. They'll pick a CO, a platoon leader, company leader, and that guy will call the slots that he wants, be it squad leads, fill up a squad, helicopter pilots, absolutely anything like that. And once you're all slotted in, you'll move on to the briefing. On the briefing, the commander will make the plan, the order of action, everything you can be doing during that mission, and then from there you'll be moving. While they're doing that, we'll be expected to be reading the mission notes. It's very relevant to you. The mission notes will tell you all the ammunition supplies you might have during the mission, the task, the enemies, whether they have 70, 72s for God knows what reason, the mission maker's intent, whether they have a million cobras. That will all be within the mission notes, and it's also very helpful if you listen to the briefing, because that way you'll know what you're doing. Next, we're going to move on to the mission. During the mission, just to reiterate, we are going to be, you're expected to maintain an atmosphere of professionalism, follow the orders of the the orders of your leaders, never abandoning your unit, such as we don't expect you to run off trying to do your own thing, and negligent discharges. This is a short-term bannable offence. It is highly frowned upon. We do not want you to accidentally fire your gun, particularly if you accidentally shoot the guy in front of you in the back of the head, which I have to admit I've done that before. Everyone does it, just try your best not to. And try, to avoid this, we have weapon safety. Does everyone know how to put their weapon on safe? Speak now if you don't.
I do not know this because I got a different keyboard layout.
Yeah, the German keyboard, it'll be
So I actually have to
Key
try this
left
out
of the
again,
one,
I guess.
the Gradzeichen. Key left of the one. German keyboard.
For this mouse, I'm gonna try this out. Just a second.
How do you know that?
Worked. Thanks.
Zumorc is German himself, so.
Oh.
And do not, unless specifically told to by your person directly in charge of you, be it squad leader, company command, platoon leader, pick up any enemy weaponry, because that can cause identification problems. If you're firing M14s and your friendlies are firing, and your enemies, are firing AK-47s, you start firing an AK-47, people are going to think you're an enemy. And never, under any circumstances, jump in an enemy vehicle. If there's a T-72 where the crew's all been killed, but yourself, but the T-72 is in fine perfect order, never ever use that T-72. Alright, next we're going to move on to the ACRE&ShacTac Volume 1. These mods, the first one we're going to cover is ACRE. ACRE stands for Advanced Combat Radio Environment. It creates a more immersive simulation environment that includes positional audio, such as you can hear me standing in front of you, but if I run off to the left, you can all hear me out of your right earphone, or speaker, depending on how you have your setup. And real radio communications, such as if I press my radio key button, you can now hear me over the radio instead of talking directly. Now, we have a few basic keys around this. The first one is your basic TeamSpeak push-to-talk key, such as I'm talking right now, pressing push-to-talk. That is direct communication. Default by caps lock, the radio button will be caps lock. So if everyone presses caps lock.
You want us to just press it?
Just press it once. Wonderful. That is, once you press that and you hold it, you're transmitting over radio. That is to communicate over longer distances. And then you have your radio GUI. Now if everyone presses Shift, Control and X, you should get a little radio pop up. Tell me if you don't get one of them. Wonderful, I'm going to assume everyone does. Right, at the top of this radio, it should be the ACRE TFP111, which is your 343 short-range radio. With this, you have two knobs at the top. The left one is your radio channel. You can change this by left-clicking to go up a channel and right-clicking to go down. The is the volume knob. It should default be set to 10. You can turn this down again by pressing right and left to turn it up. Now, the 343 is the... The 343 is the main radio used within a fire team. This is a short-range radio. This is primarily to communicate with your squad leader and your fire team leaders, and it's also for them to give you orders. It's also for them to give you orders to you, basically, so you can hear them over a longer amount of distance. I believe the 343 radio is effective up to about 600 meters, possibly further, depending on the terrain. Such as if there's a hill between you and your squad leader, they will not be able to communicate with you. The radio above that, there are several other radios. They're all long range and not really applicable by now, but the two main ones are the 148 and the 119. Does everyone here have the your ShacTac volume mod sorted?
Yep.
Yeah.
Say if you don't.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Clarify what a ShacTac volume mod is.
ShacTac volume thing is it's the mod that basically allows us to change how far our direct communication goes. So as I'm set to shout now, you should be able to hear me from right over the back. And if I scroll down to whisper, none of you should be able to hear me. Well, very few of you, only the guys right next to me. Clarify it up for you.
Yes, it did. Thanks.
Wonderful. Do you have that enabled? That is
Yes, I do.
I don't think I do.
okay. To just so we can move it along, Albatross, do you mind running through that with him?
Sure. I'll do it in chat. I'll explain how to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll address that towards the end of the thing, just for you, since you're the only one for the sake of moving things along.
Who was it you had a question?
Start creation.
Right. The next mods we're going to move on to is the ACRE&ShacTac HUD. The first one we're going to do is ACE. This stands for Advanced Combat Environment. It integrates a more realistic environment into armor by introducing realistic weapons, vehicles, equipment, interaction functions to basically create a more immersive battlefield for us. The basic keys for this is the self-interaction key. By default, this should be your right window key. You'll have to... does everyone have that set up? The self-interaction key. Press no if you don't.
Press no. What?
Say no, sorry. Right.
A right-hand Windows key.
Right, have you...
Between this control and alt.
Basically. Yeah, okay. Sorry, I've just been informed in chat that is written down. I have mine set to completely different keys. It should be your app menu on the right side of your keyboard for the self-interaction. Does everyone have that then? Wonderful. From here you'll be able to treat your own wounds. This could be, if you're bleeding, you can bandage yourself, that kind of thing. You could also, depending on the mission, you can also apply morphine to yourself, that kind of thing. A tourniquet, that's another thing. You can also unload your weapon, which is not something I've personally ever seen used. You might use it, you never know. Goggles and masks. Now this can be set up by creating a profile within ACRE. A lot of the times it does default by default. In here you can put your earplugs on, take your earplugs off. You also get some pretty cool other things like sunshades, tactical glasses, goggles, that kind of thing.
Gas masks. Do not forget about the
Gas mask, yeah. Gas masks are also very important. I see this a lot on the primary server where people throw down their gas mask at the beginning of the mission. Do not do this. because you can get yourself into a nasty habit of doing it and then throw it down when you actually get a gas attack, and it does happen. There are some missions out there with it. And at the very bottom of that, you have a nice little add-on we have called the notepad. Someone is hot looking. Alright, the notepad is just a little... It's kind of a little bonus thing. You can create notes, you can create reminders for yourself, you have a mini calculator that you can have pop up to do calculations for such stuff as mortars. The next thing you have is the interaction key. Now you can use this by walking up to someone and pressing your left Windows key. It should be, that may be
Right
wrong again.
Windows key.
Right Windows
This
key.
actually defaults to the right Windows key.
Okay, this is all, sorry, this is all very confusing, because I have my buttons set up differently. In here you can examine the person next to you, you can check their gear if they give you permission, you can check their rucksack, and you can also copy their notepad. On some missions it will also give you, the option to copy their map, which is very helpful. For instance, he could have markers that you don't have. Right, everyone okay with the ACE mod and interaction keys? Wonderful, moving along. Next we have the ShacTac mod. Sorry. Right, that should still be on there. Yeah, it is. Wonderful. Right. Now this is a situational awareness mod. It gives you the situational awareness of people that are, for instance, in your squad with a list of names, names next to the circly thing. It also gives you a small compass, as well as it shows the position of all the other people on the in your squad. Now they can be identified by the little green, red. It changes. It can change color depending on what your squad leader is set, and basically it's used to show you where they are. For instance, if I walk up to, they're not in my squad, so it doesn't help. Zumorc here, he appears red. What that tells me is he is danger close, and I should tell him to back off, because if one bullet could go through me and hit him, or a grenade could kill us both. Then the next little thing you have is you have lots of free to be in fact little rings. These are the distance of 15 meters, 30 meters, and 45 meters. You'll also, within the names and within the little things, you'll get little symbols of what kind of things they are. You'll have a squad leader, which will have a little dash through the middle, going diagonally. You'll have a automatic rifleman, which is something along the line of a line going up and two arrows kind of thing. And a AT, which is something along the line of a line going up and a single line, single arrow, and a medic, which is a cross going through the middle. This can also be turned off and adjusted to show the information that you particularly want by pressing Control Alt and Shift Alt and H for myself. It may be different for other people, but that's what it is for me. Does everyone have that come up?
What was the default again? Control
Alt.
Shift Alt H, and yes, that is the default.
Yeah, that is default. Okay, wonderful. Once you have that come up, you can change your HUD mode, which is you can change it to HUD only. You can change it to names only, or you can turn it off entirely. You can also toggle the compass and restart your HUD if it's being particularly buggy. This is just to add a little bit of situational awareness. This kind of thing is not at all meant to be your third leg. It is something that you should only occasionally be looking down at to work out whether you're in the right spot or everyone's there. There's various different reasons, but you need to remember that this is not what you should be watching the whole time. What you should be watching the whole time is your sector. If you're stuck on the right flank of your squad leader or something along them lines, you should be looking at the sector that has been appointed to you by your fire team and making sure there's no enemies coming from there. We'll get further into that later on, but that's basically it. don't use it as your third leg. Always keep up your watching your sectors, and just don't watch it all the time, because it happens and it causes many issues. Right, Albatross, I believe you wanted to take this next part.
Yeah, just give me 1 second. I'm just making sure this guy's ACRE works.
Okay, who's that? Alright, I'll chat to him if you want to move on with that, Albatross.
Sorry about that. Dark Creation, you there?
Yes.
Awesome. Alright, good
Yeah,
to go.
it's working. Awesome. Yeah,
Yes.
Albatross, go ahead. It's the fire team and squad level.
Right, guys. This is the fire team. Fire team is pretty much the most basic level of organization you have within the platoon, and it's the most common one you'll be a part of when you're playing on UO. So, mostly we go by US Army Infantry Doctrine, which is the one you're going to be using in this particular instance, but it can pretty much be used for any kind of nationality or any kind of organization. So there's 4 members of the fire team. First is the fire team leader. He provides command and control through leadership by example. Essentially, the attitude he has is do as I do. So he leads the team. He commands all the people underneath him, and he orders them throughout battle in order to function all together as a whole. So he has 3 basic things he has to keep in mind while he's leading his team. So he leads his team in fire and movement. That means he'll say, you know, you shoot here, you do this, to make sure that we can effectively engage and destroy the enemy. Second thing he does is he controls the movement of his team. So when he's maneuvering his people around, like when you're going from point A to point B, he's going to tell you how you're going to get there, what you're going to do before you get there, what you're going to do when you get there, and what you're going to do while you're moving to that position. He's also going to ensure the security of his team's sector. So if his team is assigned a task, he needs to ensure that that task is executed by the team, and he's going to make sure that his team members are able to carry out that task. Second member of the fire team is the automatic rifleman. He's going to be equipped with what is most commonly known as the squad automatic weapon or a light machine gun. In the U.S. Army, this is most likely going to be the M249, which is the one that the guys who slotted as automatic riflemen have right now. So his job is to be able to engage groups of enemy personnel, skinned vehicles, bunker doors, suspected enemy locations, and he does this all with automatic fire, which is fire at a high rate or high volume. His main task is providing suppressive fire, so covering the biggest distance with his weapon and providing the most fire so that the rest of the members of his team can accurately engage point targets while the enemies are suppressed and not able to return fire. He has to be able to inform his fire team leader of everything he hears and sees when in a tactical situation. So the third member of the fire team is the grenadier. He is equipped with an M203 or other underslung grenade launcher. It provides high explosive indirect fires for both point and area targets. So he can provide a 40 millimeter grenade or another kind of grenade that he can fire out to a range of up to about 350 meters. He must use grenades to suppress and destroy enemy infantry and light armored vehicles with HE or high explosive dual purpose grenades. He uses the grenade launcher to provide smoke to screen the cover of his squad's movement and employ illumination rounds to increase his squad's visibility and mark enemy positions. The rifleman is the last member of the team. He provides accurate, lethal, direct fire for point targets. Typically, he has an assault rifle M4 or an M16, and he often will be the one in the squad or the fire team to carry an additional light anti-tank weapon like an AT-4 or an M72. We'll go over that later. He has to be able to inform his fire team leader of everything he hears and sees when in a tactical situation, and he has to use his weapons to place well-aimed, effective fire on the enemy. Within the fire team, there's a smaller level of organization called a buddy team or a battle buddy. This is a team of 2 soldiers that are paired for fire and maneuver, and they need to always be watching each other's back. Need to make sure that if one of the team members goes down, they can tell the team leader, hey, my buddy just went down. And if you guys are moving out from a position and your buddy is not really paying attention, you need to say, hey man, come on, we're moving out, let's go. So generally, the buddy teams that are going to be paired together are the team leader and the automatic rifleman, so that the team leader can direct the automatic fire and suppressive abilities of the automatic rifleman's weapon. And the second buddy team is going to be the grenadier and the rifleman. Next slide. I don't know how to do it.
Oh, sorry, I'll do that for you.
Already done.
Right. Now, the level of organization above the fire team is the squad. Sometimes it'll be known as the section. 2 fire teams and a squad leader make up an infantry squad. It is capable of establishing a base of fire, providing security for another element, or conducting fire and movement with one fire team providing a base of fire, so shooting at the enemy, and the other team maneuvering to a next position to engage the enemy. The squad leader has 2 leaders under him, which are the fire team leaders. So he'll be talking to them and giving them orders, and they'll be giving their orders to you. So like I said before, throughout the militaries, there are other forms of organization. The Marines use a system of 3 fire teams to a squad instead of the Army's 2 fire teams to a squad. The Commonwealth, so British and Canadian equivalent of the squad, is called the section, which is essentially an 8-man squad where one of the fire team leaders is also the squad leader. And then there's similar organizations in Russian and German groups, Russian squads and German groups, but it's pretty much straightforward if you can understand how the U.S. Army fire team works. And that's the end of that.
Awesome. Haribo, do you want to make a bio break?
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Right, guys, you can have 5 minutes, go grab a drink, have a quick wee, and you have until 3 minutes too.
Wait, what game?
You guys have a couple minutes to take a break. Hey, so Dark Creation, try doing what I said before, holding down that button and scrolling your mouse wheel. You should see the slider now.
I just see a lower headset.
Are you holding down your talk on direct chat button?
Yes.
Does anything pop up when you do that?
No, just a lower headset.
Alright, hang on. Hey, Duke?
Yeah,
can you help him out setting his... I just have to go AFK for a minute, but can you help him set up his...
Dark Creation, come over to the side with me here. So, hit escape.
Can I ask a question right now here, or should I wait until the end?
Hit what?
Hit escape. To get your armor menu.
I think you just went AFK.
Go to your options.
Okay, I'm gonna wait.
Okay.
And then scroll down to you gotta you gotta scroll down about half of the way, and it'll you'll have talk on global channel, talk on side channel, talk on command channel, talk on group channel, talk on vehicle channel, and talk on direct channel.
Okay.
Okay, and you have to set talk on direct channel to...
So does anybody else have any questions about anything we just covered, or any technical issues they still need to go over?
Yes, one question here.
Yeah, sure.
What do you actually understand of base of fire?
Okay, so a base of fire is just simply put all the guys standing still shooting their weapons at the enemy.
And most people use their right.
So, I mean, that's the most boiled down to the most simple form. It's just you're not maneuvering, you're staying in one place, and you're providing fire with your weapons, so bullets going towards the enemy to try to destroy or suppress the enemy.
Roger that. Thank you.
Sure. So you'll actually hear that term a lot. It's probably one of the most common tactical terms you're going to hear used. Set up a base of fire there, or Alpha Team provide a base of fire towards the enemy over there. That'll just mean shoot at them. It's a fancy way of...
Okay.
So what key did you set it to?
Anything else, guys?
My mouse.
Awesome.
Right.
It probably doesn't. work
After
as
this,
well,
we
because
get a little more
major-
into
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
doing
it might-
things rather
yeah,
than just the classroom,
you'll
so
have
you
to
guys
see
will
it.
get involved in actually being in formation.
Hey, Germans,
Right,
I
I'm
have
back.
to say one thing. I love you because beer.
Oh,
Okay, now.
So thank you, Germans, for
trying to teach
inventing
this
beer.
and deal with a very, very
The
argumentative
Egyptians invented beer.
girlfriend is
Hate to
very,
be a
very hard.
downer though.
No, there's
But
easy
the Germans do
solutions.
make the best beer.
Don't miss the 2-year
Mm,
anniversary,
beer.
which was Friday.
No, get rid of the girlfriend.
Oh, she gives me sex.
Well, I didn't say it was a good solution. I said it was an easy one.
Yeah, I guess.
You
Plus,
could buy it, you know.
a girlfriend?
Okay,
Yeah,
try
both.
finding it to the keyboard button. Start
Alright.
formation.
What we'll be doing next is the formations. Actually, hold on. Albatross, do you want to go through the actual formations over there as well when they go back?
I did,
Yeah, sure.
what's the volume
Alright.
right now?
How come Zumorc is so much bigger than all
Right.
of us?
Hold down the
It's like
button, hold
Spec
your
Ops or
wheel,
something?
And,
Bigger?
try turning it down the whisper.
Yeah, like his model is bigger than us.
Where? Oh, right here? I don't know, man.
He's overcompensating.
Yeah,
Muscles?
I don't think he's bigger.
No, we couldn't.
Yeah, it's bigger.
He does
Yeah,
look
it
rather
doesn't-
large.
Yeah, it doesn't actually.
Whoa.
It doesn't actually work if you set it.
You've
to
been
mouse
working out,
button
baby.
this time.
Yeah, it doesn't work. with Crosshair. That's the same deal with all the other 8, but you can't use it.
Oh, really? So, there's no actual downsizing here? This is how tall Zumorc is in real life.
Cool.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes. You put,
I
you
thought I
press
had to
push-
hold down.
Totally badass
No.
without a helmet anymore.
No, once you've changed your volume, it'll stick at that volume until you change it.
Okay.
Very useful in PvP.
Right,
You can set it
time.
down first. Also note that
Right, so everyone would like to join me over here by this flag and fancy
so in
things.
PvP, if you want to be quiet,
Oh look,
stealth,
I can take the.
Good.
down, whisper, and talk over your radio.
Ah, Remmon's dealing with some others, alright.
Come on over,
Exactly what we need.
Chris. Perk, back yet, man? Hey, Perk.
Like the reservoir dogs here, boys.
Still want AFK. Oh, never mind, sorry.
Taking the just
So right now, team, where you're supposed to stand relative to the other team, and in what order you're supposed to stand. So the two basic, the successful and proper use of formations is not determined by geometrical accuracy. So when you're looking in your formation, you don't need to be looking down at your ShacTac HUD, you need to be looking at position relative to
Albatross?
Yeah, you cut out
sorry
there.
about that. I got yellow chain. Can you guys still hear me now?
Yep,
Yeah.
can hear you.
At what point did I cut out?
I think you're talking about
Um,
not looking at your ShacTac.
Okay, yeah, so you need to be focused on your position relative to the people around you. So the guy to your front and your rear, your left and your right. You also need to be able to maintain flexibility based on the terrain and the situation. So if you're moving at night and there's low visibility, you're going to be a lot closer to the people around you than in a situation where you're walking across an open field in the middle of the day. So the two basic formations are the fire team wedge and the fire team file. The fire team wedge. The wedge is the most basic formation for the fire team, and the one that allows the most. Basically, you can see here, it's compared the two. It's the basic fire team formation, good control, good flexibility. It allows immediate fire in all directions, all around security, and you can move at a pretty good speed. The wedge is essentially an arrow, which we'll show you in a minute, facing in the direction of travel. The general spacing between the soldiers in the wedge is 10 meters. And again, it'll expand and contract based on the terrain and the visibility and other factors involved. Should I have actually taken them over to see the wedge over there? It doesn't say on the thing.
You can see it from here.
Alright, well if you look over here, you can see these guys right now are in a wedge. And if you come over to this, you can actually see the wedge described on the board over here. So you can see they're arranged in an arrow. They're a spacing of 5 to 10 meters, and they're facing in the direction of travel. So it's pretty straightforward.
Tap your right mouse button, Walsh.
Yeah, I'm just gonna fix that bug.
So does everyone understands the
your
wedge?
headset.
Alright, now let's move over to the second formation, which is described over here.
Wow, I never knew actually you could fix it that way.
Get over the file war.
So the next formation is the fire team file. This is pretty simple, one man after the other in order, facing in the direction of travel. It's the easiest to control, but it's less flexible. You can't put immediate fire to the front or the rear with all of the members of your fire team. It has the least security. You can only engage to the sides, but on the plus side, it's the fastest speed. So you can move quickly, and you can operate.
Breaking up again.
So does anybody have any questions about either locations?
Isn't it also known as the column?
Duke.
Um,
A file is within a fire team. Column is within a squad.
Alright,
Yeah,
Roger.
sometimes you'll hear the term column used. It's actually used incorrectly in this instance. We might cover. Yeah, we're gonna cover. Yeah. Hey Zumorc, you're really quiet, by the way, man. Yeah, we're gonna cover what a column is in about a second, but
Yeah.
I mean, there you go. You're loud again.
So one more thing is important to note with this, it's not not about geometrical accuracy to follow what you're doing in the ShacTac cut to form of information, but also what he said with the terrain. When you walk with your squad and you get halted and there is a rock next to you that you can occupy and use as cover, or there's a tree stump next to you, you use that, right? You don't stay in the perfect geometrical accuracy for the sake of being in information, but you use it so that it makes sense in the situation, right? And that it sometimes means you have more spacing, sometimes less spacing, sometimes it's more steep in angle in a wedge, for example, or you're more towards a line almost, right? So that it really depends a little bit on what the situation is looking like.
Okay, so now we're gonna cover squad formations. These are pretty simple. They're all based off of the formations you've already just learned, except they're put into a what?
The flag over there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll come over here, guys.
Yeah, if everyone would like to join over here.
Over this way.
Don't watch me here.
There we go. Oh, God.
Can someone please proper school circle?
Oh, awesome.
You don't need a pauper school circle.
So these
I
are your
have an
squad
LCD.
formations. The one again, the most common one, since the wedge is the most common one you're going to see on the squad level is the squad column, which is pretty simple. 2 fire teams in wedges with the squad leader in the middle, as you can see on the board here. And then the squad file, even easier. It's 2 fire teams in file with the squad in the middle. And then the third one is the squad line, which is where the fire teams are in wedges with the squad leader in the middle, and you're all facing towards where the direction of travel to the front. The squad file again is used for the same reasons as the fire team file, for when there's less visibility or when you need to maneuver more quickly. Squad wedges, or the squad column rather, used for the same thing when you want to engage targets to all sides and maintain all around security. And the squad line for when there's contact to the front and you guys are set up to engage the contact is the most likely situation where you'll see the squad line when there's enemies to your front and you need to be able to engage them to the front. So you want to take it now, Haribo, for the formation range?
Right, yeah. This is actually the formation range. Right, squad leads Remmon and Albatross. I need you to split you guys into 2 fire teams, preferably picking... Wonderful. Remmon, have you done yours?
I only have 1 fire team.
It's done automatically.
Good enough then. Right, Albatross, can you see the flagpole in the distance off to the west, west-west-north?
Yeah.
Wonderful. If you take your guys out in that direction and do a squad, let me remember what freaking...
Doesn't really matter, call them.
Yeah, do the basic formations basically, and Remmon, if you go off slightly more westish and do it. Do 1 formation going down there and 1 formation coming back.
Okay. Alright, my guys, so if you're an Albatross squad, let's come over here. We'll face for the west.
Right, Remmon squads, and EF to tier Agent Orange, this way.
Right.
So
We're
many
going to start with the easiest formation, and then we'll work up into something a little more advanced. For right now, the order we're just going to use is going to be the fire team leader, followed by the automatic rifleman, followed by the grenadier, followed by the rifleman. Everyone should know who they are. Has anybody not clear on what role they picked? Alright, cool.
For me,
I'd be worried if you did. Alright, so we're going to do the squad file first. It's going to be blue team followed by red team. The squad leader's going to go in the middle.
So
blue
what
team,
you
let's
do
see
is
if
you
guys
form
can
up
get
with
into
me.
the file facing towards the west, and just start walking immediately towards that flag. So blue, if you guys try to fall in behind your fire team leader in the order you're supposed to be, I'll go behind you guys, and then red team, you fall in after me.
Wedge, heavy right.
So remember, whoever the fire team leader is, in this case is Chris, needs to be on point for red team.
Zumorc, if you stay over here with Remmon, I'll go
And
watch
again, guys,
Albatross.
Make sure the focus is on the fire team level, right?
Yep.
Here on the other side.
So you guys should all be able to hear me on the short range as well. Awesome, you guys did it. That's fucking great.
Right, take a job.
Now let's see if we can try to maintain this while we're jogging. So let's start jogging, and when we get to that flagpole war, just take us around the flagpole and hook us back to the east. Roger.
Are you recording the entire course, Enix? some.
So you can see, like, when we're making this turn, it's not a perfect wedge. So that's just a pretty obvious example of how the wedge might not be in perfect formation as you're maneuvering through terrain. When you're turning, obviously you're not going to keep in this perfect formation. You're going to need to sort of adjust to go back into it. Alright, we can start walking now. Alright, now let's try forming a squad file. So if you remember, it's 2 fire teams in wedges, but aligned horizontally. So let's see if we can move into that now. So red team, form a blue team hold.
And where's the squad lead in that?
So blue team, fix your formation right now. You should be in wedge right now, because you're moving into a squad line. Oh, I'm sorry, did I say file? I meant to say line, I apologize for that. So we're going to do a squad line. So first, fire team needs to be in a wedge. Yeah, there you go. And then we're going to form a line, so the next fire team needs to move on to the other side of that one. So guys, we're moving into a squad line, which is where both of the fire teams are in wedges horizontally with each other on a line facing towards the direction of contact or the direction of travel. So red team needs to be on my right in a wedge. Alright, then really easy, we'll form a squad file to get back to where we started. So red, form a file behind blue. Alright, in blue you can start us moving towards, back towards where we came from.
Hold on, just making the team coherent again. Take a sec.
So red team, you want to form up behind the squad leader. Over here, man, behind me. You see me on the ShacTac, Chris?
If you want to cover more of these, show up to
Chris, yeah, you want to be behind the squad leader.
You'll go through most of them.
Yeah, more or less, you can work almost any situation with these 2 formations on the fire team level, and then adapting to whatever the situation looks like. Work anywhere. If you look at it, the German army, for example, you only have 2 formations on the squad level, on fire team formations, and that works as well, right? So there's a lot of people that put too much.
Alright, guys, we can break formation now. Let's
on formations a lot of times.
Yeah, formations, the main point of a formation is to make sure people are watching the right places, and you're spaced far enough that you won't all get killed by one grenade.
Yeah, and so that you're kind of arranged according to the situation, where the enemy is, how the terrain looks like, and that type of stuff.
Right, guys. Does anyone have any questions over what you just went over? Speak now, or if I ever hold your, whatever the word is, your justice.
Silence.
Wonderful. In that case, this way this time.
Follow the man with the head.
Yeah, why does he get a floppy hat and I don't?
This is cooler than you.
There we go. Albatross, are you here?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want this bit or not?
Up to you, man.
Yeah, it's completely up to
Oh
you.
my
I think
God.
it's giving you the opportunity to get a bit of practice in.
Sure, I'll do one more and then you can
Alright.
take it from there. Right, so now we're going to cover movement techniques. So you've learned the formations, you've learned the order, all that stuff, and these are how you actually implement them while you're moving across terrain. So there's 3 movement techniques that we're going to cover. Again, like the formations that you've learned, they provide varying degrees of control and maneuverability, security, and fire capability, and flexibility. So the 3 movement techniques, we're going to start with the first one, which is the most basic. This is traveling. This is getting from point A to point B when speed is key. This is when enemy contact is not likely. It offers the best speed and control, but it has the least dispersion and security because the trail team falls directly behind the lead team. It is not normally used in enemy territory. So this is basically the one team behind the other, just moving like normal. And the next team is the next movement technique is called traveling Overwatch. This is getting from point A to point B with speed and security. The squad uses a traveling Overwatch movement technique when enemy contact is possible, but it still has to move quickly to accomplish the mission. This is basically the same as traveling, with the exception that the trail fire team is spaced at a greater distance from the lead fire team, approximately 50 meters, so that it can cover the first fire team and move into a position where it can provide fire in support of that fire team if they do take contact. And then the third movement technique is bounding Overwatch, which is getting from A to B when the enemy is near. So it's used when contact with the enemy forces is expected, or when crossing a large open danger area, like a large open field with no cover or concealment. One fire team is a stationary Overwatch position, and the other fire team maneuvers. So only one fire team will be moving at a time. So one fire team is going to be providing possibly a base of fire if the first fire team takes contact. So the first fire team is going to be covering, and the other fire team is going to be moving. This is the slowest movement technique and the most difficult to control, but it provides the best dispersion and security. So just understand that one fire team is always going to be stationary while the other fire team is moving. So one fire team will be watching a direction, the other one moves there, and then the next one comes up. Haribo?
Ah, wonderful. Right, where did you go to? Sorry, I was
Slide 2.
Driving me crazy. Slide 2. There. Alright, actions on that.
Oh, would you like? Am I supposed to still continue?
If possible, man. Like, sorry
Okay,
about
yeah,
this,
yeah,
everyone.
sure.
My girlfriend is going crazy.
No problem, no problem. Right, so this is actions on contact. Whenever your squad is moving and it encounters the enemy, the ability of your squad and the members of the squad to react to the enemy presence quickly and effectively is the difference between surviving the firefight and achieving the mission, or becoming a casualty. For the purpose of this course, we'll differentiate between 2 cases of making contact with the enemy. Enemy contact. So there's 2 types of enemy contact. One is enemy sighting, where you see the enemy, but he doesn't see you, or you're not taking effective fire from him. This is also known as cold contact. And effective enemy fire, which is where the enemy is aware of your presence as well, and is either engaging you or moving into position to engage, etc. This is hot contact. So if you see the enemy, if you spot the enemy, you communicate with the known or suspected enemy position in what's called a contact report, and you do this to all the members of your team and your squad. And then your team rather, and then the fire team leader will pass this on to the squad leader and coordinate further actions with him. And then if you're taking effective enemy fire, if you or your unit receives it, you need to immediately take up the nearest covered position, start returning fire, locate and communicate the known or suspected enemy positions in the contact report that we'll cover in a minute, and then the fire team leader will start to control fire. He'll assign people to engage targets and control fire and fire control and things like that, and then he'll pass on the contact report to the squad leader, who will coordinate further actions with him. So now we're going to cover what the contact report actually is. This is how you tell the people around you that, hey, there's an enemy over here. You guys need to be aware of that. This is also known as calling out a contact. There's a lot of different variations on the contact report, but they all convey the same information. And the things that you need to be able to convey are, first, you give an alert, which alerts everybody around you that, hey, you're about to give a contact report and there's contact around you. This is done by saying contact. So all you do is say contact, and then you give the rest of the contact report, which are the 3 Ds: direction, distance, and description. First, the direction. This can be conveyed by giving a clock method, so 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 6 o'clock. You can also give basic directions: front, left, half front, right flank, rear, etc. And it can also, if you want to be more specific, if you need to be able to describe the exact location, you can open up your compass and give an azimuth, so the degrees to the target, 180 degrees, 270 degrees. You only need to give as much detail as necessary. So if it's an obvious enemy contact, like a guy standing 5 meters in front of you, all you have to do is say contact front. The next part of the contact report is distance. This is done in either medium, close, or far, or in meters, an estimation of the meters to the target. Description of the target. This is the size, the type of target, and a reference point if applicable. So you're going to say like 5 troops, 5 infantry, 1 personnel carrier, 1 tank, etc. And then if you want, you can also give a reference point. So you can say 1 tank next to the lone tree in the field. As an example, if there's, let's say, a squad of infantry inside of a house that is 200 meters, or let's say 500 meters to your right, you can say contact right, medium, infantry in the house, or contact right, medium, squad of infantry in the house. If there's, let's say, a BTR coming across a field towards you from your 5 o'clock, you can say contact 5 o'clock, far, BTR coming towards us. So that's some basic examples of contact reports. Next slide, Haribo.
Sorry.
So this is fire and movement. This is what happens after you're in contact and after you're begun to engage the enemy. This is how you maneuver to destroy the enemy. So the initial reaction to contact, the actions on contact, once that's been established, once you're all ready, you're engaging the enemy, expressing the enemy, etc., we'll transition to fire and movement. There's two things you can do at this point. You can either withdraw, which is called breaking contact, or you can attack offensively. This is assaulting through the contact. The principle of fire and movement is similar to bounding Overwatch, with the exception that the overwatching element is actually providing a base of fire, so shooting towards the enemy. So one fire team is always stationary, shooting at the enemy, and the other fire team is maneuvering either forwards, back, or to the left and right to try to flank the enemy. You guys need to understand, though, that fire without movement is indecisive, and exposed movement without fire is disastrous. There needs to be fire controlled with movement. So if you're moving all together and there's nobody shooting, you're going to get killed. If you're all firing and nobody's moving, you're not going to be able to destroy the enemy. So you need to have a combination of both in order to effectively carry out what needs to be done. And that brings us to the range.
Right, wonderful. Thanks for that, Zumorc. I'm going to kill her in a minute, I swear. Right, Squadleads, I believe I went over this with you previously. You're going to be doing a bounding movement. during this, I don't know how far you went into it because I had my headset off. I just had. I don't know if you went into this, but during this exercise, if you look off to the left and the right, you'll see these little things. Target pop-ups. When these pop up, you are weapons green on them. You are to assume that they are enemy targets. Everyone okay with that? Wonderful. Albatross, if you get your guys set up on the right boulevard thingy, and Remmon, if you get yourself set up on the left. And
So
Zumorc, what's up?
So to kind of clarify, the pop-up targets, the idea is not really to tell where they will be, but it's kind of obvious. But the idea is that we will be exercising here what we just covered, right? So we'll be moving with bounding Overwatch using the cover that the terrain provides us. So in this case, it's kind of obvious where we will go, obviously. And then the idea is that we keep watching our sectors, right? So we maintain the situational awareness, and when we make contact with an enemy, and in this case the enemy's going to be close and in danger for you, right? You call out the contact and you exercise the actions on contact procedure. So in other words, if you're moving, you're not in a covered position, assume the covered position, start returning fire and call out the contact, right? So this is what we're kind of going to be practicing here. We'll be moving to the bunker. We'll not actually clear the bunker itself. It's not enterable. And when your entire squads get over there, your squad leader will tell you to use the flag to teleport back here. And the squad leaders will obviously, like a squad leader will do during actual movement, direct the fire team leaders where to go, and then the fire team leaders are kind of expected to make sure everybody's watching a sector. But obviously the focus for you here is to get first impression on being in a fire team, so it's not really focused on what the team leaders are going to be doing because you're also just participating.
Right, guys, so come over here for a second away from the wall. So for the purpose of this exercise, we're going to pretend that this is an actual scenario. So I'm going to brief you like a squad leader might give a brief. Of course, if this was actual combat, we wouldn't all be standing around in a circle, not covering our sectors. But for the purpose of argument, just bear with me. So what's happened is there's a
Alright,
to our east,
oh god, that was weird. You just set it to random, right? Or do I? Do you want me to?
There's likely enemies around the bunker in the vicinity
Sure.
of the area and to cross our axis of advance. So we're going to need to bound across this open ground using cover and
Yeah, sure.
to try to get close to the bunker.
Sorry about this, but it
So
was
for now,
the
we're going to get a line on the
It's
I
another
missed.
part of the lesson plan to lock the girlfriend out of the bunker.
Yeah, I missed the 2-year anniversary on Friday, and she wasn't giving up killing me for it. Yeah.
Get a Google Calendar app on your cell phone.
Mate, she even reminded me about it on the day. I just was too busy to acknowledge it.
Hang on one second, guys. Oh, I'm stuck. Hey, I'm good to go. Should I wait for the
Everyone hear me?
thing to get popped up?
Albatross,
let's
if
go
you're
ahead.
ready to go
Okay.
ahead.
Sweet.
Okay, cool.
Are you going to control the target, Haribo?
You can do it if you like.
No, you do it.
Alright.
I'm building.
Okay,
I know
blue
how it
team.
works.
There's a disabled vehicle to our front. I want you to bound to it. Red team, you cover. Move now.
Wait, disable what?
There's a disabled vehicle to our front. Blue team, I want you to bound to it. Red team, I want you to cover.
Roger. Blue team.
Move now.
They're ready. Red covering.
So the idea is kind
Red
of
covering.
while they do it.
We're not trying to get it too advanced. We're just trying to explain the basic things. So, you don't have to do that sort of thing.
Remember, guys, your weapons green.
Hang on. So Chris, you want to come back because red's supposed to be covering right now. Blue's moving. You need to listen to the instructions that I give. So red covering, blue moving.
Albatross, your Overwatch should be engaging on targets.
Nobody's doing anything
Yep.
back here.
So remember, guys.
Remember, guys, we're actually, if you guys see a target, you can fire upon it and let me know.
Yeah, blue team is kind of dead, so... So as you saw here, gentlemen, the fire team that just moved out was completely uncovered because nobody started to suppress that enemy, right? So when you see that enemy popping up, even if it's not shooting at you, it's definitely a threat for that moving fire team, right? So you want to start putting fire on it and call it out. And then the guys that are moving, obviously, you want to get to the next covered position. So in this case, maybe, obviously, you actually, if you're that close to that contact, you might want to stop and start shooting it as well. But if you take contact, like, from more far away, you want to get to that cover you're bounding to. And obviously, ideally, Albatross would have told you to bound to that truck and not the second next cover, because obviously that's a larger distance to cover. So, obviously, it depends a little bit on how imminent the contact is. But keep in mind, try to use the actions on contact drill we just exercised. So, start firing at the contact and at the same time communicate it. And yeah.
Is that not part of the other squad's range? I thought it was like divided down the...
No, it's one squad at a time here.
Oh, okay, I thought we were going simultaneously. I wasn't aware that we have the truck as well.
Yeah, just pull you guys back, we'll restart this.
Alright, cool.
Hey guys, just come back for a minute and we'll restart it. I apologize for that.
You'll just move up to the closest available cover. Weapon selected. And then the VP. And once you're at
That would help. Thank you.
cover, you'll call set. Send the other team up to your position, and then they'll bound up from there.
Time that happened. Don't hold me in life. Fucking Sergeant killed us. Literally.
The guy.
Right, when you're ready, Albatross, send you guys out.
Okay. So red team, there's a disabled truck to our 11 o'clock. I want you to bound to it. Blue team, you're going to cover them.
Roger, hold on. Turn the rifleman left, AR me right, we're covering.
Again, we're trying just to cover the basics here.
Northeast, right, north.
War. This isn't a fire team operations course. We're just trying to cover the basic things right now. I mean, if you want to do it, you can, but again. All right, so red team, move now.
Now in this case, this doesn't
Okay,
apply.
covering.
If you see contact here, you shoot it. But
If you see
if you're
something
out
red,
and you see contact, they have
make it
to
more red.
Call it out as well.
So red team, move to that truck over there and take cover on it.
Yeah.
This Chris
Come on,
here.
Chris.
Red, you guys moving?
Hold it out before we kill it, but yeah. Good shooting.
That's how you do it.
Well, if it's in a position like that where it presents a danger to the other team that's maneuvering, you want to kill it before you call it out, or try to do a combination of both. But the important thing is that you protect the other team. It may necessarily mean that you're not communicating as effectively.
So red team, when you're in position, you want to say something like, we're here, or set.
Alright.
Blue team, there's a destroyed BTR to our 12 o'clock, or vehicle. I want you to move to that. Red team, you cover that.
Roger, blue bounding. On your feet, gents, blue bounding.
Only because they're a bit bigger, they won't all fit behind the truck. So they're just going to send one team up to the truck, and then send the other team up to the next available truck.
Targets have been popped.
Keep popping them up then, maybe at the bunker as well.
Yeah.
Center rear target over the...
Yeah, the targets keep popping up.
That's the intent.
Alright, I mean, it's popping up when they're behind them, so... Alright, blue team, so you need to let me know that you're in position.
At this point you want to pop only the...
Okay, copy. Red team, I want you to move to this destroyed vehicle near 12 o'clock on the other side of the truck. Blue team, you cover for them. Red, move
I'd go over it when they get back, but the rear element wasn't actually watching for these things popping up.
Yeah. Oh.
Yes.
There is targets to the left as well.
I said your team speak is going to help.
Well, that explains why you couldn't hear.
Red team in position. Alright, blue, I want you to move to the destroyed vehicle on the other side of this. Once you're 12 o'clock, red, you cover for them. Blue, move.
Roger, blue bounding.
But I'm still hearing no contact report.
That's cool. You are breaking up.
Am I getting packet walls?
Probably. It sounds well. It sounds like it switched on your codec.
Red, move over to that bunker, or move over to the flagpole. Hey, contact front. Blue, cover for them.
Yeah, enough pop-ups.
Blue covering.
If you hit control twice, you can lower your weapon here. No, it can't be me. That's
Sounding good to me, Duke. I don't know.
Oh.
Well, fuck me, that's
Alright, blue, move up here and we're gonna teleport back.
That's right. It's public targets might actually not be really ideal to understand.
Weapons down, gents.
Yeah.
So I'm
Weapons
looking
down.
into maybe actually spawning AI enemies on these.
It's particularly
Roll
hard
back.
to do it
Save.
as we're going along. Right, guys, the guys have just run across. The element
Move up to the
that
group
first
here.
one over to that down Euro.
Kick it off
It is incredibly important when you're holding a Overwatch position. Keep looking at all sectors, be it. So we're facing east in this instance. You need to keep eyes northeast, northeast east, southeast, southeast east. You need to watch that whole sector. There was a if you look off to the direct east here, I had a target there, and you guys completely missed it entirely for the entire time, and the second element that was bounding over ended up having to stop and engage it. This is what you do not want to happen. You want to be constantly watching everywhere, and you want to relay constant, absolutely constant contact reports. Even if it's you've just downed someone, let them know that you've just downed someone.
Yeah, there might be more people. Typically, the enemy is also organized in larger than one personnel groups, right? So, obviously here it's kind of obvious that there can't be much more people behind this little dirt piles, but obviously in real situation, the enemy will be more far away, will be in tree lines and every sorts of terrain, right?
Now we have the problem of Remmon squad has pretty much disappeared.
Yeah, you can do it, buddy.
Yeah, I've got 2 guys.
But you got two guys?
I had,
Two of them managed
I
to
had the
lose
full fire
connection.
team, so I set them up in battle buddies, and then 2 of them just disconnected.
Yeah, I mean, you can just take a few
coming
more
back.
guys. Albatross takes one of his fire teams and moves with you as kind of a squad.
Yeah, that would work.
Just improvise to get the basic
Albatross?
doesn't matter if it's 3 or...
Yeah.
Take the second, the one that first bound over to the Ural, and take them over with Remmon's guys, and you'll do
Sure.
the wonderful.
Am I moving with them? Alright.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Albatross,
you'll be-
you can do squad lead then, and then I'll
Alright, so red
attach
team, come
myself
over
as
here
my
with me,
fire
blue
team.
team, yes, and chill out.
Right, BF agent, we're gonna be a fire
Wait, blue team is what now?
You guys can chill out over there, just wait out over there.
Oh, sweet. Dance out,
Switch over to
motherfuckers.
Short range 1.
Oh yeah, dance it. Doop, boop, 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 boop.
What?
See, I've got...
Are you drunk?
Come on. Fucking fist bump, motherfuckers.
Right, Albatross, you ready?
Whoop, boop, boop, boop.
Come over here, guys. How many
What are you doing?
guys do you have in your team?
I've got 2 guys plus myself. Oh, Minty's coming back, so I'm gonna be 4 guys.
Boop,
Okay.
boop, boop.
I mean, do you want me to give one of my guys to you?
No, we'll be right.
Alright, cool. So my guy's over here.
Fist bump, motherfucker.
I
Oh,
just need
fist
to check
bump.
fire team so I can bound.
Oh, not conform.
Just lead.
You do not compute? Yes.
Remember, guys, contact reports over the short range. Remember, have you guys in short range one for this.
Yeah, I
Did he just...
Constant contact
What was
reports.
that?
As a squad leader on the primary server, as a mission CEO, if you're squad leading, you always want to hear contact reports. They're the best things to your ears. So you
He
know what's
just
going on.
shake his head at me.
Sorry about that. That crashed.
Right, Remmon, Minty's back, so if you want
Yes.
to go.
Yep, okay.
Okay, watch out. Watch
Right,
what
our
they
fire
do,
team
and
move up to the abandoned
you know.
truck.
So red fire
Set up
team.
a watch there.
Yeah. I was about to say that, but not in so many words.
Yeah, you're gonna be squad lead.
Alright. Alright, red team, I want you to cover. Blue, you're gonna move up to that destroyed truck to our front. Move now. Or that's, sorry, Remmon's team is
Yeah.
gonna move up to that destroyed truck, rather.
Right, blue team, moving to the destroyed truck. Move.
Alright, red team, cover.
So one thing obviously to keep in mind, when you're moving towards the suspected enemy, you want to be not in a file, right? You want to kind of spread it out. It doesn't have to be a perfect wedge or anything, but you want to make sure you're not running behind the other guys.
This game is so fucking loud. It's not even funny.
You can turn it down with the volume up.
Can I put my guy? Alright, cool, never mind.
Yeah, you radio 3 seconds.
Contact wall.
Yeah. Say that again? Okay.
Contact wall. So good contact
So
report.
it's important that you want to try to use the radio as well in a situation where maybe not all of the squad members are close to you.
So obviously a little bit more descriptive would have been contact in front of the bunker, or contact by the bunker.
Roger. Right. Red team, I want you to move to that destroyed vehicle to your 1 o'clock on the other side of the truck. Remmon team, you're gonna come.
Contact right by the control tower, 50 meters.
Good shooting.
That was good.
So red team, move now to that destroyed vehicle.
Let's go.
Contact right, 50 meters by the control tower.
See, that's a good shooting. Like, the first shot hits, kills.
Contact left.
See guys, that's what we want to hear, the contact reports.
Team set.
While you're shooting. I mean, in armor you can do both. In reality you can't press your radio button in.
Remmon team, on the other side of this truck to your 12 o'clock, there's another destroyed
that's actually
vehicle.
good.
Move
Right?
to it now, red team, you come.
So it depends on how urgent the contact report is. If it's like a threat right now and you want to call it on the radio, if it's like a guy 2.5 kilometers away that's not going to see you, then mostly you don't.
That's good. Well, that's horrible shit. Fuck.
It really just took so many rounds.
That was disturbing.
Blue team set.
That's awkward.
Red team, move to that destroyed BRDM to your front. Remmon team,
Contact front, 100 meters, bunker. Contact front.
I think the general concept is quite good for the purpose of the finale. Because I think at the end you really, if you came from zero, you really get an impression of what
Why did that bullet sound like it went over my head?
I don't know, but I saw what they were hitting.
blue team, move up to, or Remmon team, move up to the bunker. Red team, you cover for it.
Nobody moving.
Yeah, rather spend 2 seconds more and make sure everybody's moving with you than, everybody running off alone.
Oh yeah. I mean, it happens, you shout, quick, bound forward 100 meters, and you run off and never get at it.
Not horrible performance, that one.
No, much better.
Like,
I'm happy with the guys that...
the guy on the left side that would probably kill Remmon's team, but yeah.
I'm glad I sent them guys back out. Now, did everyone here watching, do you get what we're trying to show here?
Yep. Everyone's back.
Yeah.
Alright, everyone over here? I'm the giant dude on top of the hill.
Why does this look like the picture on the fucking forum?
You a ginger?
A what?
Right. Does anyone have any question about what we've just done? Wow, no questions. I almost think that's a bad thing.
I mean, I had to log out during the part right after the right Windows key that puts the IFAC, but I can get that after this.
Okay, yeah, we'll run that over if you join me, and I'll just stay in the channel. I'll go
Wait,
through it
you've
after.
been away from Ace at the very beginning until...
No. He had to fix his ACRE at like maybe a couple minutes.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, if you have no questions, any questions about anything we run over today? Again, brilliant. Right, then on that note, congratulations everyone, you have just participated in the familiarization course. You should now have a basic understanding of the mods we use, the different basic level roles we have, as well as our community values, and some very basic, very basic formations and movement. Congratulations, you should all be happy with yourself. This is a brilliant thing. This course is also a stepping stone into moving into the future courses. Every other course you see within UOTC will require this as a requirement. If nobody has any questions, we have some future courses coming up. There should be a land nav and an RTO course coming up. They're not currently on the calendar. But does everybody know where the training schedule section of the forum is?
You signed up for this, you should
Yeah. You should know.
I got 2 questions though.
Yep, go.
Can we try it again, and when do we get the tag?
I shall give you the tag in a minute. You can feel free to try it again if Albatross or Zumorc's available to stay. I'll give you the tags, then I'll be disappearing for about probably the rest of my life because she looks like she's going to kill me. Doesn't help that I keep talking about her. And also apologies for me having to semi-BAFK during this because of the she-devil. Ow.
Did she just pinch you?
No, she just slapped me. Yeah. Feedback is always welcome on these courses, and yeah, I'll grab you your tags, and then you're free to go. There will be a if Albatross or Remmon also is available, they can run through a quick demonstration of anti-tank as well as MG, which will involve the procedure of letting off the rounds and clearing your backblast and everything. Albatross, are you free to do that?
Oh yes,
I think somebody wanted to repeat the range though, so I better make that before then.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, so if you stick around in channel, Albatross will go over that with you, and thank you everyone again. Apologies for the she-devil.
No problem.
That was the last we heard. Haribo.
That's very possible.
Signing on the rest in peace.
Yeah. Right, so you guys are gonna get your TeamSpeak tagged at some point, probably around now, which means you'll have this cool thing next to your name that says you completed the familiarization course. So at this point, anything afterwards is optional, but I recommend you guys stick around because we are going to be blowing some shit up shortly, and then firing lots of bullets into the distance. So if you guys want to stick around, we'll have fun. For right now, if you guys want, we'll run through this one more time. I don't actually know how to set up the targets though. Zumorc.
Yeah, I'm gonna control the targets.
Alright, cool. Yeah, one thing I wasn't really clear on is I didn't really realize we were, like, actually, I thought this was just an example of one specific thing. I didn't realize we were putting everything into practice. But now that I got that, I'm gonna make sure you guys do it. So we're gonna do everything we learned. So calling out contacts, talking about, one of the important things to know is that we're communicating with each other. So, moving, covering, engaging, he's down, I'm up, all that kind of good stuff. So for right now, seems like we have a lot of people that are still sticking around. We might actually have to do this twice. What do you want to do, other instructors who are sticking around?
Isn't the Remmon squad pretty much liquidated?
I've got one fire team.
And you can do it like with 3 fire teams, just coordinate with each other.
Marine Corps style.
Marine Corps style. Yeah.
Alright, so Remmon, you take your team on the left, I'll take my 2 teams on the right.
Will do.
Right, I'm gonna have to head off. I've got to go.
Alright, so that's cool. See you. Alright, so red and blue on that wall over there.
Alright, I'll switch my team over to green.
Okay, you are green team now.
I think I would learn something here.
Right,
This is for the
3-man
tags.
team, no MG. Who needs one? Right, guys.
And then
everyone has a reason to come.
Yep. So red team on the left, blue team on the right. Get ready, guys. We're gonna be assaulting that bunker over there.
What's up?
Up on the wall, guys.
B2 Plox, can you remove the FO tags I just
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Yeah, I will.
Useful trick, when you're up on a wall or something like this, if you press shift space, you'll rest your weapon, and that will pretty much remove all recoil.
Hands on.
Right, so red team on the left,
What's
blue
up?
team on the right.
You have to also sign the UOTC courses tag.
I may have just
Okay.
messed up the order. I apologize for that. It's all you.
Okay, now I'm not sure where the fuck I'm going.
On the left.
Alright, Remmon, is your team ready?
Yeah, green's ready.
Alright, cool. Red team, you're gonna move to that destroyed truck to your 11 o'clock. Blue and green team, you guys covered. Red, move down.
Right, covering, cover left
Blue team
side.
covering south.
So you wanna go red moving, red moving.
Dark creation.
Keep an
red
eye
team.
out.
You're
Red
moving up
team
that
set.
truck over there.
Left one of your guys behind.
Keep an eye out.
Go to the right side.
Contacts, front of the bunker.
Blue team, there's a destroyed vehicle to your 12 o'clock, move to it. Red, suppress that bunker. Green.
Blue team move.
So when the command is given to suppress instead of just cover, you actually want to be actively shooting at the general area of the target. Any enemies pop up, they're not going to be able to do anything. You want to be firing not rapidly, but at, like 1 round every couple of seconds. So just make sure that they stay down. You don't have to fire, as fast as you can.
Blue team set.
Green team, move up to the truck that red team is at. Blue, red, suppress the bunker.
Okay, move up to the truck. Let's go.
Green team set.
Green, there's a destroyed vehicle to your 12 o'clock. Move past the truck on the left side into it. Red, blue, cover. Watch and shoot. That means no more suppressing, just watch for contacts. If contact pops up at the bunker, engage. Green, move.
Contact north side.
Two contacts at the bunker.
Contact north side.
Contact right side.
Contact east. Green team set.
Green team set. Red team, move up to green team. Green, blue, cover.
Contact northeast.
So obviously these cardinal directions are not really effective in this situation. We really want to just reference left or left flank or anything like that. It would be more obvious to everyone.
Yeah, because northeast is a really large area, but I'll go over some pointers after.
You also have to know where the direction is in this situation, which is easy due to the ShacTac HUD, but...
So, red, you set?
Red team.
Alright, blue team, move up to the next destroyed vehicle. Other teams, you cover.
Blue team move. Contact front.
Green, red, suppress the bunker. Blue, keep moving.
Blue team set.
Green, move up to the bunker. Red.
Green moving.
Red, cover. Blue, cover. No, remember, cover. Cover is watching, suppressing, and shooting.
Green set.
Something of that nature. Alright, we've done it. Let's get to the black.
I'm gonna need more ammo.
Yeah, we'll have ammo at the range we'll go to in a second.
Yeah, I have like 10 rounds left.
Alright, that's everybody. Alright, so two things I want to cover from the exercise that we just did, just to cover some pointers. First thing was the contact reports. So you can kind of imagine that when you're giving these things, it's not just to, just because that's what you're trained to do. You want to sort of imagine, why am I giving the information that I need? So that I'm not the only person shooting at a contact and everybody else knows where it is. So, while saying contact northeast does give the direction, I mean, look to the northeast. Look how massive that is. There's anywhere that they could be. So you want to be a little bit more specific. Again, I know I said before on the radio you want to say, where the contact is, but if it's just like, if you only need to, if it's one guy and you're with your team, you don't need to say it on the radio. You can sort of say, contact front left over by the trench, and then you can engage it there. You just want to try to convey the information to the people around you so that you can effectively engage the target. So of course, if it's like a platoon of infantry coming over the hillside, you're not going to just say it to the guy next to you. Hey, look over there, there's some infantry there. You're going to say it over the radio, contact, front left, far, platoon of infantry coming down the hillside. So just imagine, why am I giving the information? what information do I need to give so that if I was the man next to me, you know, what would I want to know in order to know where the contact is?
And when you communicate, always make sure that that it reaches at least your team leader, right? So that, because sometimes you might call a contact out and say contact front, and nobody listened to it or is out of hearing range, and then obviously they didn't get that information. Because everybody within the fire team, within the squad, is part of the situational awareness, right? So you have 9 eyes or 18 eyes obviously in the squad, and 18 ears, and you want to use that. Right? You gotta be. Everybody has his own responsibility when it comes down to covering your sector and maintaining the situation within your squad.
Yeah, so again, this is stuff that'll be covered more in depth if you guys take the fire team operations course, the fire team leadership course. But, you know, the most important, or one of the most important things is just remember to communicate. Say what you're doing, say what you're about to do, say what's happening. So, you know, if somebody says contact front, you say contact front, I see it, you know, not seen, you know, left of the building. You know, you want to try to let people know that exactly what's going on with yourself as well as
Yeah, so if you're calling out a contact and everybody says no, where? I don't see it. And you got to elaborate and say it's right there, left of the wall. And, you got to make sure everybody knows what's going on.
Yeah. And then the second thing is, this is a little more advanced, but I just wanted to explain a little bit quickly about one of the bounding techniques we just used. When it comes to bounding, remember that's one team covering and one team moving. That's further divided into two categories, which is a little more advanced, so you don't really need to know it. But the first is called successive, and the next one is called alternating. And it's pretty straightforward. So alternating, you're like leapfrogging, and then successive, one person moves to a position, another team moves up to them, and then one team moves off from that position.
It's really more to worry about for the fire team and squad leads, though, because I mean normally your squad leader will most likely direct your fire team leader where to go, or if he leaves it to him, then your fire team leader will choose where you get down and where you...
Yeah, exactly. So there might be a time where there's only one piece of cover, and you gotta say, okay, we're gonna move both fire teams to that piece of cover, and then we're gonna move both fire teams to the next piece of cover, rather than saying one fire team to one piece of cover, one fire team to the next one. And you can do that by saying, you wouldn't say both fire teams go there at the same time. You'd say one fire team go there first, next fire team go there. One fire team go to the next one, next fire team go there.
And unfortunately, there's, especially in armor, often these situations where there's actually no cover or concealment whatsoever.
Yeah.
Because the armor, if you look at where we are, it's going to be a runway, obviously, so it is actually supposed to be flat. But, you know, the terrain in armor is generally flat. So even in the forests and terrorists, there's very little cover or concealment, right? There's only the tree stumps, and that's it. So sometimes you don't have cover available, so you just got to get stationary with the team and fight in it.
Yeah.
That problem's a lot less on Shremlich.
That's why you have smoke.
Yeah, let's blow some stuff up. Let's go over to the AT range.
Whoa.
AT is the left range.
AT.
And this is the right range here.
Let's do AT first, then we'll move on to
yeah, okay. Further range then.
They want to see things blow up.
Not that trait.
Since you guys are moving on the site here, learning how to effectively use AT is pretty important, because if you don't, you know, if you fire a 203 at your feet, it won't go off. If you fire a rocket at your feet, it's going to kill everybody.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
Single-shot disposable anti-tank weapon, so there's no reloading of it. You fire it one time, and then it'll drop it on the ground automatically, and then you go run away from the tank with a shot. It goes up to about 500 meters, but it's really only effective at that range on stationary targets, and also depending on the skill of the person using it. And if you're even more skilled, you can probably launch it farther than 500 meters if you like aim high a little bit, just for that sort of stuff. Basically, first I'll explain just basically how the AT4 works, and how you fire it and blow stuff up, and then how you actually do that when you're in a situation where you need to blow something up. So it's very simple. You aim it, you look down this first, when you pull it out, you're going to notice it's red in the upper right hand corner. You're going to need to hit R. This is just an ace thing. This doesn't have to do with anything in real life, other than maybe taking the safety off or something like that. So then you're going to aim down the sights. Aim down the sights like you do with a normal weapon. It has iron sights. You can sort of see down them. There's like a little, you know, like normal iron sights, so you can look down them and see through the hole. And then you use your up and down arrow keys to adjust the range, and you're going to see it'll go range 100 all the way up to 500. So you have to know the range or be able to estimate the range effectively for something like that. And then you just aim it at the target, and you click, and then boom, it blows it up. But there's some things you need to understand about how the AT4 works, otherwise you're gonna fucking kill everybody around you. So the most important thing to understand is that most anti-tank weapons, anything that fires a rocket, anything that fires like a recoilless rifle, something like that, they have this thing called backblast. And this is, I'm not like an expert on the actual science, but basically, if there's a solid object behind you or a person behind you, they're gonna get fucked up and you're gonna get fucked up. The different weapons have different backblast ranges, like the angle of the backblast and the distance it'll go. But I mean, if you're firing like an RPG inside of a house, you're gonna fucking injure yourself, because when the backblast comes, it's out of the back, it injures people and it injures yourself. So you need to make sure that there's nobody standing behind you and there's no objects behind you whenever you fire an anti-tank weapon. However, you'll notice on this particular weapon that you're firing, the CSRS, that means, it stands for Confined Space, what is it, Confined Space, RS, what's the R? Doesn't matter. Anyway, it's like water, it uses water in the recoil, so there's less backblast, so you can actually fire this one from inside of a house. But it still means that if there's somebody standing, like, whoever this guy is behind me, this is right up in your face, you're still gonna probably die, and it's gonna injure me as well. So there's techniques and procedures you use for when you're actually firing the AT4, and you're basically communicating to the people around you what you're doing, so they know, hey, there's a rocket about to be fired, we have to get out of the way or we're all gonna die. So it's like this.
For the normal AT4, it's actually 100 meter behind.
Yeah, so that's really large, so like, it's possible for somebody standing 100 meters behind you to still get injured, so you have to be aware of everything that's going on. And if there's like a wall right behind you, you will die. Even if you're, you know, if you're firing in a forest and it hits a tree, or you're firing in like hilly ground and it'll go down as well and it'll hit the ground. So if you're standing on, like, if I stood right here, you come over here for a second, and I was like on the slope of the hill, and I was aiming up a bit on the slope of the hill, I'm gonna injure myself because the backblast is gonna hit the slope of the hill. So what you have to do is you have to, again, like always, communicate. So this is how you do it. Let's say, in this specific example, there's this tank to my front, 150 meters, what is that, 150, 200 meters. So I pull out my AT4, and I'm gonna say, and again, remember that what you learn in the classroom here isn't always what you'll need to do in game. Like, as you've seen with the contact reports, the important thing is to tell people where the contact is. So if you say, contact front infantry, you haven't given just the range of the contact, but if it's, you know, obvious, and it's a situation where you need to convey that quickly, then you don't necessarily have to give that information. You just have to accomplish the same task. So this part of it is generally not included, but you're going to say something like, you know, engaging the tank to my front 200 meters with AT4, and then you pull out your AT4, and then you're going to say, clear my backblast. And if it's a weapon like a Carl Gustav or a small, where you have an assistant gunner, like a dedicated person to carry ammo for you and spot targets, and in real life hold the gun with you, or hold the rifle, the recoilless rifle with you, you know, he's the one who's going to tell you. But if there's just an AT4 or something, the people around you are going to shout out, you know, backblast area clear, backblast is not clear. So when you're holding, you're going to say clear backblast, clear backblast, and then somebody next to you is going to go, you know, don't fire. There's somebody there. You know, backblast area clear. Is it actually clear right now? Because I'm going to fire.
Yeah, it's clear. It's clear.
Okay.
It's clear enough.
Dawn is still in the backblast area. Remmon kind of still is.
No, I'm safe. AT4 won't hit me over here.
Yeah.
90 degrees. Yeah, it's fair.
So.
You want to make sure you're.
This is also a bit of battlefield experience, gentlemen. The more you run around with these weapons, the more you'll become aware of just how big the backblast area can be. If this was a Moz, I would not be standing here.
Yeah. Okay, so, you know, clear my backblast. It is CSRS, though. Backblast.
Yes, Albatross, your backblast is clear.
Really? Okay, cool. And then I'm going to say, rocket, rocket, rocket. Or if it was like a javelin, you know, missile, or, you know, just something to tell you that you're firing. You can even just say, firing AT4, firing Carl Gustav. So rocket, rocket, rocket. Boom, tank dead. Hooray, I saved the day.
So normally, ideally, a fire team leader will already tell you when to use it.
Yeah.
If there's a situation where you have to make the call yourself, the tank is rolling up to your squad.
Generally, yeah, for pretty much all weapons, the fire team leader will give you an order to use if you have a specific weapon like a 203 or an AT4, but you can use it yourself if it's an obvious situation, like there's a guy behind a piece of cover, you're going to use you know, the grenade launcher. If there's a tank, you're going to use the AT4. You don't have to wait for him to call for it. But if, for example, you don't necessarily have to use the AT4 on armor. You can say, like, there's a building over there I want to blow up. But you wouldn't make that call yourself. The fire team leader would say, you know, I want you to engage that building over there with AT4. You go, got it. You pull out your AT4 and you run through the drills that I just covered.
This also depends a little on ammo loads. If you're a grenadier and you start with 40 HE rounds in your backpack, that grenade launcher is pretty much going to be your primary weapon. You're going to fire it at everything. If you only start with 10, then it's a lot more situational, and your team leader is probably going to be the one to tell you where to shoot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even if you want to get more advanced, he'll call for Grenadier or HEDP in the fire command, but that's not important. Important thing is, now let's actually put this into practice. So, let's pair up into buddies who can clear each other's backlast. So find a buddy and then go to one of these sandbag walls. Don't fire yet, by the way. Just pair up in teams of 2. Get you out a bit. That's good. You 2 there. You 2 there. Let's get 2 more people over here. 2 more people over here. Custer, Cerebos, come over here.
Orange and Minty, you guys can help each other. Where's Minty? Oh, he's already in the team then. Right, well, Dark and Orange then, yeah.
Remmon, you good. Oh, did you grab an AT4?
Yeah, I grabbed an AT4.
No, Chris, did you grab one?
What?
Are you AFK, Chris?
Is AFK or something? Because he's been standing there the whole time.
Alright, cool. Well. Alright, so I'm just gonna run one by one, and then once the first guy fires, the assistant can fire without just to make sure you guys are safe. Just to be in with. So, Donkey, there's a tank over there. Choose whatever target you want. I want you to take it out. So Haribo's help him out. Custer, blow something up.
Yeah, clear blockless. Rocket.
Awesome. Nice one. Alright, now you guys. And then as soon as the oh no!
Oh my god! What the hell?
Okay, so much about the invincibility.
I may have forgotten, yeah, that too, and I may have forgotten that it also, to remind him that it also comes out of the front.
I didn't see.
He was standing too far behind him, so...
No, I think he's standing too far in front. I forgot to mention it also comes out the front a little bit.
No, he's standing behind him, I saw.
Oh, okay.
He got hit by the fireball.
Right.
Oh my god.
Right.
He said a clear blockless, so...
Yeah, he
still was clear.
You guys pretty much got it now. Feel free to fire your AT4. Just assistance. Make sure that your gunner is doing the thing he needs to do, and make sure you're helping him out by saying when his backblast is clear. Sorry about that. Is the guy who died? Did he come back yet? Yeah, sorry about that, man. That's why it's important to clear your backblast.
Oh my god.
So you guys can start doing
Yes, yes I can. Yeah, you use the up and down keys to select the range, and you right click on the arrow sights.
It actually looks a lot more far than it actually is.
Backblast clear.
I think always is fucking.
You're clear. Backblast clear.
If you guys actually look at the AT4 when it's being fired, you can see this big fucking fireball that comes out of the back of it, and that is the backblast. And you would see it a lot more if it wasn't CSRS. But if you actually take a look at Remmon over here on the right side. Everyone look at Remmon on the right side, and look at the back of his AT4 when he fires it. So Remmon fire, go ahead and fire it.
Rocket, rocket, rocket.
So you guys see a fucking fireball, and that smoke that comes out of the back. So the fireball is going to kill you. If you're standing inside where the smoke is, then the force of the explosion is going to injure you. But the fire kills you, and then anywhere where the smoke extends, essentially, you don't want to be there. So you can see how that cone came out as he fired of the black smoke that sort of funneled out of it. Like that's basically, it'll describe to you where the backblast is. That particular recipe.
Same thing.
Yeah,
Tanks,
make
right?
sure you wear your earplugs.
That's overpressure. That's something a little different.
Good depth.
But yeah, you don't want to be standing by a tank when the main gun fires. There's overpressure.
Yeah, tanks, artillery, those will.
Yeah.
So, Custer has it, yeah.
I guess we'll do 203 next.
My
yeah,
assistant needs a
Alright, is there
How did you
just hit respawn. Just go
I don't
to
know how
escape. Here, hang on. Just go to escape, hit respawn, and then come back to us. Alright guys, so fire
the last AT4s you guys have, and then we'll move over to the next range over here. So if you've already fired, just move over to the next range. It's the one directly to the right.
Right, move over to the range on the right. Chris, if you still want to fire that thing, get up to the land bags.
And you know, being able to actually hit the target is a whole other skill set that just comes with experience and practice.
Okay. Rocket, rocket, rocket. Yeah, AT.
Alright, so let's move over to the next range, guys. Did you already hit Newalk? Cerebro? Hang on,
He needs a medkit, I think.
Okay. Explosions are good.
Practice rounds.
Yeah, they don't cause much of a bang. They just. Did you just fire that straight up, Chris? Don't do that.
It's just smoke.
Don't fire grenades straight up.
Hey Alba, you gonna get the other guys over here?
Yeah, they're coming over right now. We just had a guy who had no legs, so I had him race.
We're grabbing the M4A1 with the M203 underbarrel grenade launcher.
Alright guys, head over here, grab out the 203 with says M4A1, M203. You guys can get it with the practice rounds. Do we have actual 203 rounds? No, we don't.
Nope, it's just practice rounds in there.
Or the smoke purple. Yeah, get the smoke purple.
Should I stay here?
Although...
Shit, the hard targets don't even draw to me in zoom mode. Fucking stupid.
Zumorc.
Huh?
Zumorc, do you know what's with the, it seems like the smoke rounds don't fire at the same range as the HE rounds. Is that just me, or...?
Smoke rounds are unadjusted.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
That's what it is.
Well then, I feel like it kind of defeats the purpose when we're firing with the, smoke rounds.
Yes, it does. You need to use practice rounds.
Yeah,
There's
Zumorc, you might need to...
There's practice rounds in the...
Yeah, but there's only 4 left, and there's off after everyone.
Oh, really? Okay, then I got a lot more.
And there's like 68 smoke rounds in there.
There
as
is
well.
more in the hangar, on the right hangar.
Alright, so if you guys don't have practice rounds, don't pick up the smoke rounds. We only are going to use practice rounds, so let's go over into the hangars to the southwest. And thank you, I didn't actually know that, but that explains a lot. Alright, so if you guys practice rounds, come with me.
Can you just test that? Because I thought I could always get that pretty good on target.
I tested it, and yeah, it's pretty much uncorrected. They go all over the place, and if you set it to 400 meters, it'll go at around the same distance as when you set it to 200.
Oh.
And then you aim up a little, and it goes a lot further.
Pop-up targets actually don't pop up anymore because...
for the another one, you get a load of high explosive things. They just get like respawn for you.
Good.
Yeah, these pop-up targets do not.
Yeah, that's because it's a global thing. When you turn one, you turn off. I didn't think about using this range because it's not really part of the course anymore.
I didn't get it to go 400 now,
This is about 400.
That smoke.
So for those that are here, there's two things you can do right now with the
So does
M203.
everyone actually know how to use the 203? Does anybody have any questions on how the 203 actually works?
I'm covering that right now, actually. So I'm going to do it on the radio. We have, first thing we can do is here on this version, we can actually use the flip up sight by holding shift and double pressing 2. However, it's purely cosmetic right now because the ladder sight does not actually work. The way we range the M203 is using, just like with the AT4, the up and down arrows, and then using the front side post of your iron sights and aligning that under the target, just like if you would fire the rifle and look through the aperture sight. You align the top side of your iron post under the target with the appropriate range. And the HEDP rounds, so not the practice rounds we're using right now, the normal HEDP rounds actually have up to 15 millimeters of homogeneous armor penetration, so it is actually a valuable tool against light armored vehicles like the BMPs or BMs.
Yeah, don't make the mistake God has did saying that it's a BMP, you won't be able to kill it with, because you can.
Hey, which
Yeah, and then also while you can use the range, the up and down arrow keys for range increments of 50, you also have to be able to just know how to adjust with just by using the sight going higher angle depending on where the target is in terms of range in between the things you can actually range.
Yeah, it's purely cosmetic.
And again, like being able to hit something with the
I think they were trying to make it work.
there's not a lot of procedure here. It's just practice and experience.
Arma 2.
Yeah.
They were able to do this in America's Army, which, was wonderful.
Yeah, I remember it.
Oh, I like the American Army.
I remember the HEDP rounds because that was my first real training. I went to Fire Team Ops, and we were doing bounding. We had to do bounding retreat. So Godhand spawned in a BMP, got in it, and started firing machine gun rounds over our heads. So, and he's like, well, what do you do when you see a BMP to your front? And my response was, well, I'll go free it. And, yeah. He said I couldn't. And
well, if you're standing in an open field versus the BMP, you want to run away. Right? If you're in a position where you can shoot at it without it knowing where you are.
No, it really depends. If it's already firing towards you, then, you want it dead.
Yeah, but it'll take a round or two, most likely.
Well, not that one. I fired
one shot at hit? Awesome. On the turret?
One shot, top of the turret, boom, dead.
Nice. Wait, it exploded even? That's so
It exploded, yeah.
You'll not always get that result, obviously, directly. That would be nice.
No,
but...
if you hit it on the front armor, you'll probably injure, kill the crew, but it probably will not explode. If you hit it a little lower on the turret, then no telling what will happen.
Hey, what's going on?
But the advantage of the 203 is that it doesn't...
We're just on the 203 range right now.
Alright, if you guys want, I have one more thing I want to talk about, and that's really all I have to say. If you guys want to stop shooting for a second, I'll just cover one more thing. Just for fun. I want to cover, so I sort of hinted at it before, what is the difference between covering and suppressing. There's other words for it, but I just want to cover, basically, you know, fire control. So essentially, when you're firing your gun, you know, you have semi, burst, auto, depending on the weapon that you're firing. But, you know, think of how many mags you have at the beginning of the mission. I only have 5 right now. So if I do this, it takes me that long to burn through a mag. So imagine in combat how long I'll last if I keep doing that. So fire control, I mean, on the individual level, is like how fast do you fire, how are you firing, where are you firing, what are you firing with, that sort of thing. So basically, there's like 3 rates of fire. You'll hear them in a bunch of different ways. The ones I use, the terms I use are rapid, sustained, and cyclic, but it's really just fast, medium, slow. And it's like cyclic or slow is rapid rate is just 1 round every second. So like this.
Cyclic is typically only used for machine guns, and it pretty much means hold down the trigger.
Yeah, and then sustained is a little slower, 1 round every, you know, 3 to 5 seconds or so. Depends on the weapon you're using. It has to do with the actual mechanics of the firearm. I don't know a lot about it, but I mean, just as an example for you, you know, why are you not? The only time you really fire like this is if you are killing somebody. So when you're suppressing, they're gonna give you the rate of fire. So, you know, if it's not told to you, you assume sustained. Or, actually, if it's not told to you, you really do rapid for the first 2 minutes and then sustained afterwards, but that's not important.
So what typically will happen, like in the situations we practiced on the range over there, was, you know, when you come into contact with an enemy, they're going to start shooting at you, and then you want to use a lot of firepower, because you want to kind of win the firefight with them, or kind of get them to the level where they have to duck down and reduce the amount of fire they can put onto you. And then once that happens, you can slow down your rate of fire to just keep them suppressed. And then obviously that's when you start to maneuver really. So the first thing that will mostly happen in a firefight is there's going to be a lot of rounds exchange, and then the number of rounds that's flying across both sides will decrease, and then the kind of maneuvering part enters in until, you know, one of the factions is destroyed. Right?
Yeah, if you can imagine, my favorite example of this is during World War I. I can't remember if it was the French or the British, unfortunately, but there was this training thing where, so if you can imagine, this is your rate of fire. That's not that fast. But if there's 4 guys in your fire team, and they're all firing at the same time, and they're all firing at that rate, it's going to be like this. And then the next guy goes, you know, faster than that. So it's going to seem like you're firing like this. When in reality, it's 4 guys alternating. So really, you know what I mean by that? So like, if it's 1 guy if you're firing 1 round every 4 seconds, but 1 person is firing at every second, it's going to seem like you're firing 1 round every second. And during World War I, again, I can't remember if it was British or French, but the Germans thought that they were getting hit with a machine gun, when it turns out that it was actually just the training of the opposing force was to fire in such quick succession as the person who fires before you, that it seemed like they were getting hit with a machine gun. So it was like, you know, a bunch of guys lined up, and it would go, the first guy would fire, and then immediately afterwards the second guy would fire, and it would seem like a machine gun was firing, when in reality it was just like 10 guys with rifles who fire it like once every 5 seconds.
And that, gentlemen, is called the fog of war.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's and then so basically, the difference between suppressing and covering, suppressing, you know, you're shooting at the enemy to keep them down. Covering, you're just watching to see if an enemy pops up. Another term used for that is watch and shoot, where generally after, like, so contacts pop up. You know, you call out the contact, you know, the contacts are now down and covered. Fire team leader is going to call for suppression at a certain rate. You know, you keep suppressing, you don't let up the suppression, and then once the fire team leader has said, okay, we've successfully suppressed the enemy, or the other side is maneuvered into position to engage, he's going to call for either like check firing or start covering or stop suppressing or something like that. And then the other term for this is watch and shoot, where essentially that means you're not suppressing, you're watching the area that the contact is, and if you see anything pop up, you engage. So that's watch and shoot is one of the terms for it. And that's really all I can think of on that topic.
I can add one more.
Sure.
Notice that Albatross is firing fairly rapid succession here. That means he's inaccurate.
Yes.
Albatross is firing is scary, but a lot more scary is going to be the guy firing one shot every second and just popping the rounds right over your head.
Yeah, so again, that's the difference. Yeah, going back to the fire team on the basic level, why there is a automatic rifleman and why there is a rifleman. You know, why don't we just give everybody automatic rifles? So that when there's a bunch of guys behind, you know, in cover, the automatic rifleman can go brr, 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 and they all get their heads down, and then the rifleman can go, you know, looking around through my optics, okay, there's one, bang, got him. So the automatic rifleman is suppressing the targets and keeping them down, and then the rifleman is watching, and then when they pop up, he takes them out.
And additionally, also, once you get into closer quarters with the enemy, if everybody's carrying a saw, then it's kind of clunky.
Yeah, imagine the recoil on the saw in close quarters, you know, the saw is never the point, man.
And in reality, the saw is also incredibly unreliable. It's going to jam every couple of mags.
Yeah, I think
at least. And
you have spare barrels in Arma, which you can use to swap out. I don't know if it's correct.
I don't think that currently works because I never get a jam. I've tried to run a few mags.
It doesn't jam, but it'll actually overheat the barrel, and you'll become more inaccurate as you fire more.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The inaccuracy
I actually have a
jamming does actually work as well, but I'm not sure if it's on the.
So what I just did, I fired the magazine at cyclic rate. In reality, you're most likely going to have a jam by now, right? So the M249 can actually also be loaded with the Stanex. In reality, that's even more likely to get jams. So it works perfectly fine.
Oh yeah, that's a fun fact. Is that the 249 will take your Stanex.
In reality, it's likely
if you run out of belts,
in the first
yeah. So
hit
if you run out of boxes, you can actually use Stanex. Underneath where the belt is fed in, there's this slot, and that's where the Stanag goes. I don't know. Alright, well that's really, I mean, does anybody else, like, has anybody else seen anything in the game, or do they sort of know about something? Does anybody, like, want to know more about it? I'll be more than happy to cover it if I know about it, and if I don't know about it, I'll be more than happy to make it up and pretend that I do. So, I mean, really, like, anything you've seen in Arma, or UO, or, like, I don't know, on the lead, on the military, that you want to know more about, I'll explain it.
Crap.
And then, generally people on the server, if you don't understand. So yeah, nothing else. Nobody
I
else
could
know
use a
about
quick
anything?
overview on that IFAC and. Dark Creation, come here for a second. I was gonna say, because I can't
head
hear
over to
you
the
when he's
hangars if you
firing.
wanna
Come over, let's go away from the shooting. If you want to know more about the medical system, I'll go a little more in depth in the medical system if you want.
I don't know jack about the medical system or radians.
Let's talk about the medical system.
Or radians, though.
Or radios?
We will be covering radios and the medical system in the hangars if you are so inclined.
Yeah, this should be better, hopefully.
Yeah. There's a couple different types of radios. I'm only going to cover the basic one now. Which is the one you have right now. It is also known as the PRR, the personal role radio. And it's basically just a radio. And then you have two knobs. One is for volume on the right, and one is for channel on the left. And you change your Control Shift X to open it, and you combine that to another key. If you go into ACE, you want to use a different key for it. Control Shift X is the one I use, the default one. You might not remember it at first, but you learn it fairly quickly when you have to do every single mission. Yeah, so you use left click to change the channel forward, right click to change the channel back, same with the volume, and that's it. So, and then generally, when you go in game, the number of the squad you're in is the channel you'll be on. So if you're in second squad, you're on channel 2. So if your call sign is 1-2 or 2-2 or 3-2, you're on channel 2. You're in first squad, you're on channel 1. Fourth squad on channel 4, etc. So does that cover the radio for you, man?
Better explanation, yeah.
Alright, cool. I mean, if there's anything else, let me know. Now I'll cover the medical system. Enix is going to be your test dummy. Hopefully you won't bleed out. Might be unconscious for a bit, though. I'll tell you when to respawn. So I just shot Enix in the foot. Oh no, he's injured. What do we do now? We go over to him. Everybody come over here and ACE interact with him. So you're going to see a couple options. You hit examine. This is Buddy 8, by the way. This is examining another person. What the fuck? How did you not get injured? God damn it.
He's an instructor.
Oh, he can't get injured. Nope. Damn it. Alright, well anyway.
There.
Don't do. No, I'm not injured.
You're not hurt either?
No, we are all invincible. That's a zoom.
But the back blast.
Yeah, alright. Well, anyway, so if you look at, you examine somebody, if they were injured, it would say things to do. Like, it would say they're bleeding, and you would have an option to bandage them. And when you you yourself get injured, you hit the ACE self-interact button, and you'll see something that pops up that says treat wounds, and you click on the treat wounds, and it'll say no options, but if you were injured, it would say bandage or morphine or something of that nature.
What's the default button to interact with other players?
I don't know. I have mine set to something else. I don't remember.
It's the key left from the. Actually, it's right Windows key.
It's the right Windows key by default.
Yeah, my keyboard doesn't have a right Windows key, so.
Yeah,
I had to change it to something else.
Right of that.
Yeah.
The key right of that.
So it's the key. It should be the key on the right side of your interact button, correct?
No, left side. Left side of your.
Left side of your ACE interact button. So if you have the self interact button. So
the self interact button is the button to the right of the Windows key on the right hand side of your keyboard, right?
App key.
Yeah.
So
when you hit
isn't that how you put your earplugs and shit into?
Yes.
Correct.
I can't. It's not doing anything. I had it working last night, but it's not doing anything right now.
Yeah, that's
a technical issue. I'm not.
You probably need to set identity.
Yeah, one of the other guys can help you with that. That's not really something I know a lot about. Yeah.
No. Stay over there.
Why?
I want to see if it protects against training rounds too.
Oh dear.
Well, it looks like it does.
Whoa.
So that's the medical system.
Yeah, in a nutshell.
In a nutshell. I mean, I didn't explain anything just then. I just basically said how to do it.
Well,
there's
let's explain a few things. If someone is in pain, give them morphine. If someone has had morphine, don't give them morphine again. If someone is unconscious, don't give them morphine.
Yeah, basically, when you get shot, two things happen. You start bleeding and you go in pain. You stop bleeding by using a bandage, and it'll be whether or not you're bleeding, you can see if there's red around your screen, and whether or not you're in pain, you'll see white flashes. And the more frequent the white flashes become, the more pain you're in, and you'll notice that your aim starts to shake. You lose more stamina and that sort of thing. And you fix that by getting morphine. And then also
when you're in pain and you move around, you risk passing out.
Yes.
If it's light pain, then it is possible to fix it just by stabilizing without needing any morphine.
Yeah. And then when you lose your legs, you get a med kit. medical system in ACE is not that great. In fact, it's stupid as fuck, but you can magically regrow your new legs if a medic gives you a med kit.
Do you use the epinephrine for anything?
They do have epinephrine, but I think right now it's sort of in limbo. They removed the purposes for it.
Nope, it still
Occasionally
works.
you'll need it. I thought they like limited the necessity for it though.
Nope, if someone goes unconscious and they're on the ground, injured, unconscious, you've stopped the bleeding, you give them epinephrine, they will wake up within a few seconds.
Yes, but if you give them morphine, they'll wake up as well.
But you don't give someone morphine who is unconscious, because
Yeah.
if someone is unconscious and you give them morphine, they already had morphine, they're going to get even worse.
Basically, epinephrine is used if you've given them morphine, you stop their bleeding, and they're still not waking up. That's when you give them the epi.
No, you do not give morphine to people who are unconscious, because if you overdose someone on morphine, it's going to make their aim even worse.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I want to connect to something else. Now we talked about Ace Medical. I want to talk a little bit about Ace Stamina. I don't know if you guys play already on server, but sometimes you see formation and people that are rather walking than jogging. Maybe you aware why we do that? Why we're walking instead of jogging like the whole time? That's because we got a stamina system. You know, if you get exhausted, you get tired, your aim gets really bad. It's your accuracy decrease at that point. That almost make you combat ineffective, and that's why you'll see a lot of time just, you know, walking, taking easy, and alternating between jogging and walking. Also, another thing that you gotta keep in mind is your weight. Try to keep your weight below 35 kilograms. So make sure you check your weight at the beginning of the mission. Alright? Is that clear?
Yeah.
Cool beans.
Alright, and that concludes my recording. See you guys. Was great session.
See ya.
Bye bye.